Let's take a look at how you can view articles in the Gale databases and use some of the tools available. We're going to use Gale and context opposing viewpoints as our example, but the tools are pretty uniform across the various Gale databases. So we're starting off in one of the issues pages, and if you scroll down below the overview, you will find shortcuts to certain types of sources. If you were required to have a peer-reviewed source or more than one peer-reviewed source, you would want to go to the academic journals for that. Another type of source that might be interesting to you for at least a persuasive essay or speech is the viewpoints. So if you click on viewpoints, one tip that you might want to try, if you're looking specifically for counter arguments that you need to address, you can try changing how the viewpoints are sorted. By default, they're going to be sorted by relevance. If you change that sorting to document title instead, it may be easier to find directly opposing viewpoints right next to each other. The reason for that is that a lot of times the titles will be worded in a very, very similar way, possibly just changing one word. So they'll come up right next to each other if you alphabetize them by title. So if we change this to document title, we'll see if there's a good example of this here. Scroll down, and here's exactly what I'm talking about. We've got the government should subsidize the creation of green jobs coming up right next to the government should not subsidize the creation of green jobs. Now, in this case, for this particular topic or issue, we only have 20 viewpoints, so it would be easy enough to just scroll through those without changing the sorting. But you can imagine how, if you had 200 viewpoints for a particular topic, this little trick might come in handy. Now let's go back to our issues page for the Green New Deal, and again scroll down. Below those shortcuts you find a box for search within results. If you're looking for something specific and you find that the topic or issues page is a little bit broad, you can narrow that down by putting a more specific keyword in this box, and then it will show you articles that specifically address that. As you scroll down here, you can see all of the different types of sources laid out by type right here on the same page. So we've got reference articles, infographics, statistics, videos and audio broadcasts, and newspaper articles, and various other types of sources. So let's go to one of the academic journal articles. Open this up. Remember, these are where you find your peer-reviewed sources. And let's look at some of the tools. So one of your best friends will be the citation tool. This will save you some time and effort as you're creating your citations for your Works Cited pages. So if we click Cite, it is set to default to MLA 8, simply because that is what is used for most of the research that is done on our campus. If, however, you needed to change that to, for example, APA, you would just click here and it would change it up for you. Note that at the time of this recording, this has not been updated to APA 7th yet. So always watch out to make sure that you have the most current edition of whatever style you're using. Big thing to note is that citation tools are always prone to error, and part of that may be human error on the other end. Part of that is just that sometimes things fall between the cracks of the algorithms. So one big thing you always have to watch out for with citations happens to be capitalization for the article titles. And if we look at this particular title, MLA style says capitalize each principal word, but you can see here that takes is not capitalized, special isn't, kind, etc. you would want to go through and adjust that, make sure that you capitalize all of the principal words, make sure that you double check the entire citation, no matter what citation tool you're using, and make sure that it aligns with what your professor has taught you about the particular style you're supposed to be using. All right, let's go back to our article. And we have another thing we can do as we are looking through the article. If you see something that you think you might want to use, you can highlight it. So let's just highlight a little portion here. So we've selected it and it pops up with these options. You can highlight, you can choose whatever color you'd like. You could have a different color code depending on maybe what notes you might want for your intro versus certain arguments, whatever. So we'll just choose a color here. We could add a note and say, I don't know, 0.3. Make sure you hit save so that it'll save that note for you. Notice also that you have the option of clicking to get a definition of a term. And then once you have done some highlighting or created some notes, you can go up to the top right, click on highlights and notes, and it will show them to you. If you go into view all highlights and notes, you will then be able to send it to yourself via email or download it or print it or whatever. You'll want to make sure to do that before you exit your browser session, because otherwise when you go back, these highlights and notes will not be saved. But this could really come in handy to you as you are trying to manage your sources and start getting some of your ideas together. All right, let's go back to our article again, and we'll go up to the top of the article. Note that there are some additional tools here, and one tool that you may be interested in using is the ability to save to your Google Drive account. If you just click this icon in any of the Gale databases, it will ask you two questions. One will be, which account do you want to use? A lot of us have more than one Google account. So you'll choose that, and then it will ask you to give permission for that article to be saved into your Google Drive. So hopefully these tools will help you a lot in your research process. Check out other videos to see how to use tools in some of the databases from other companies.